All right, so today we're diving into something pretty massive and fascinating.
Hmm.
Um, Indian culture.
Huge topic, right?
Yeah, tons of sources we dug into, everything
Yeah.
from, the ancient stuff to what's happening in India right now. And like, it's super diverse, so much to unpack. But we're going to try and get the most interesting stuff out there for everyone listening. It's a real, like, fast track, to seeing just how deep and varied Indian culture really is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right off the bat, you can't talk about Indian culture as like one thing. It's just not. The sources really hammer that home.
Yeah.
The diversity is just off the charts.
Right.
Over 1.4 billion people.
Oh,
Think about that.
it's hard to even imagine.
It really is. And then on top of that, more than 2,000 ethnic groups and languages. Forget about it. Well over 1,600. That's like the baseline of everything in India. That whole idea that it's not one culture, but many woven together.
Okay. So how do we even begin to picture that much diversity? I mean, one of the sources kind of blew my mind talking about geography. You've got the Himalayas in the north and then, boom, tropical beaches down south.
Right.
Totally different worlds.
Yeah, and like the Rajasthan desert is like on another planet compared to the Assam tea plantations. And then you throw in these giant cities like Mumbai and Delhi. It's like several countries in one.
Exactly. And all that variety in the landscape, it feeds directly into a crazy amount of different traditions. Think about it, right? Different climates, different histories, influences from neighbors, all that leads to different ways of life. Food, clothing, and especially all the festivals, they're so unique from one region to the next. That's got to be like the big takeaway for anyone listening. It's all about internal variety. You can't just say Indian culture and have that mean one single thing. It's more like a mosaic, not a single picture.
Well, speaking of mosaics, that brings us to all the festivals. The source is called India, the Land of Festivals, which, I mean, is kind of an understatement. It's like every month there's something to celebrate.
Yeah, but what's really cool is not just how many festivals there are, but how different they all are and what they mean, the stories behind them.
Like Diwali, the Festival of Lights, our source highlighted that one, right?
Yeah.
It's all about light beating the darkness, good winning over evil. The whole visual of it is amazing. Lamps everywhere, fireworks going off, everyone sharing sweets. Deep spiritual meaning, but also just a huge celebration across tons of communities.
And then you've got the Holi, the Festival of Colors, which is like the opposite vibe, right?
Yeah.
No quiet lamps. It's all about these bright colors flying everywhere, music blasting, and people just dancing like crazy. Welcoming spring, pure joy, everyone coming together. You can really see how different ways of life and beliefs are expressed through these festivals.
Yeah, and it's important to remember the Wali and Holi, they're big and famous, but they're just part of the bigger picture. The sources mentioned a bunch of others: Eid for Muslims, Christmas for Christians, Navratri and Durga Puja for Hindus, and Guru Nanak Jayanti for Sikhs. It really shows you how many different religions are a normal part of life in India, not just existing side by side, but celebrating together in the same country. You even get people from different faiths taking part in each other's festivals sometimes. That's something else, that kind of acceptance.
Okay, so from amazing festivals, let's shift to something equally awesome: Indian food. Our source mentioned how famous it is globally, and yeah, I mean, with the flavors and all those spices, it's no surprise.
Oh, yeah, the regional stuff is where it gets really interesting, though. Remember how we talked about all the geographical and ethnic diversity? Well, that plays directly into the food, too. Makes sense that different regions would have their own special dishes. The sources had some great examples. North India, you've got richer stuff like butter chicken, biryani with meat, and of course, naan. That all comes from the Mughal influence historically. But then go south, and it's lighter, more veggie-focused dosa, idli, sambar, totally different spices, too. It makes you think how the climate and what ingredients were available in each place really shaped what people eat.
And there's more. Out west, there's pav bhaji, that street food everyone loves in Maharashtra, and dokla in Gujarat, that steamed savory dish. And then the east, oh man, their sweets are next level. Rosagola, sandesh, those Bengali desserts are insanely good. It's wild how you can experience so many different styles of food in just one country.
What's cool is that even though the dishes are so different, there are things that connect them too, like the spices, turmeric, cardamom, cumin, coriander. They're used everywhere, not just for taste, but often for health reasons too. And then there's the whole cultural side of eating, like in some places it's traditional to eat with your hands, or they serve the food on banana leaves, which adds to the whole experience.
So from this feast for our taste buds, let's move on to something else that's really beautiful: art, music, and dance. The source talked about how important India's artistic history is, and they're not kidding.
Oh yeah, Indian classical music is a whole world of its own. Intricate melodies, complex rhythms, Two main traditions, Hindustani in the north, Carnatic in the south. Different in some ways, but they both have this deep philosophical basis and use these really developed systems of melody called ragas and rhythm called talas. Even the instruments are super famous, sitar, tabla, flute. Everyone's heard of those.
Yeah, and the source mentioned how Indian musicians like Ravi Shankar and Lata Mangeshkar became global icons. They really took this music beyond borders. It shows you how powerful and artistic these traditions are, that they can connect with people from all backgrounds.
And the dance forms are similar. It's not just about the moves, they tell stories, often from ancient epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, Kathakali. They all have their own special gestures, expressions, costumes. It's like a tapestry woven from movement and storytelling.
And we can't forget Bollywood, right? Even if you've never seen one of the films, you probably heard the music, seen the dance moves. It's a more modern expression of Indian art, but it's huge globally.
Right. It shows how that ancient artistic heritage is still evolving, finding new ways to express itself and resonate with people all over. Bollywood's different from the classical stuff, but it has that same energy of storytelling, emotional connection through music and dance, just in a more contemporary way.
Okay, so we've covered so much, but there's something else that runs through all of this incredible diversity, these core values, traditions that hold Indian society together. The source talked about respecting elders, being hospitable, and how important family is.
Those are definitely foundational. They mention specific customs too, like touching elders' feet as a sign of respect. And namaste, that greeting everyone knows, but it's actually deeper than just hello. It's like recognizing something divine in the other person. Big emphasis on family gatherings for any special occasion. It really reinforces how important family is, the whole idea that your family is your main support system, a core part of who you are.
They also briefly mentioned arranged marriages, which are still a thing but evolving. It's interesting how traditions that are so old can change with the times. It shows you that India is not stuck in the past. There's this constant interplay between what's always been done and how things are changing now. Arranged marriage is still happening, but how it works, the role people have in it, it's all shifting.
And think about this. Some of these traditions have had a global impact. Yoga and meditation, they come from India, but now millions of people all over do them for their physical and mental health. That says a lot about how much wisdom there is in these ancient practices.
Yeah, and the influence of spiritual leaders like Swami Vivekananda and Mahatma Gandhi, their teachings about peace, self-discipline, nonviolence, that's still inspiring people and movements globally.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the bigger picture. India's influence goes way beyond its own borders. The source talked about its expanding global footprint.
Which is pretty impressive when you think about it. Yoga studios are everywhere. Indian food's a favorite in so many places. People celebrate Diwali in countries all over the world now. It's hard to deny how present Indian culture is globally.
And the sources specifically pointed out how huge Bollywood is internationally. People love that storytelling, the music, the dancing. That's another example of how much influence India has culturally on a global level. Even things like Ayurveda and Vedic mathematics, these traditional knowledge systems, are getting more and more recognition these days. It shows you that those ancient practices still have value in the modern world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what really stands out to me is how Indian culture manages to hold on to tradition and embrace modernity at the same time. They don't cancel each other out, they actually make each other richer.
It really makes you think, right? How can a culture with such deep roots in the past still be so vibrant, so influential in the 21st century? It's not like it's frozen in time, it's alive, changing, but never forgetting where it came from.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening, here's something to ponder. How does a culture like that with so much history keep on evolving and shaping global trends even now? Maybe if you're curious, you could dig deeper into some of the stuff we talked about. Pick a classical dance form and learn about its details, or dive into the philosophy of one of those spiritual traditions. There's a whole world to explore there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.